Chapter 11 is called The Crunch, and in it I deal with the very rapid conversion from an older kind of society to what we have now after the American Civil War. Chapter 12 deals with how power really flows in the United States. It's one of my favorites. It's called Daughters of the Barons of Runnymede. And I picked that at random out of a book of elite hereditary societies in the United States. The Daughters of the Barons of Runnymede are not one of the most influential, but they're the ones that caught my heart and tickled my funny bone best. You can't be a member of the Daughters of the Barons of Runnymede unless you can show direct descent from one of the 12 barons who forced King John to knuckle under to the nobility back in 1215. That's an American organization, but it probably has outriggers around the world. And here's the funniest part of the Daughters of the Barons of Runnymede. Just because you can show direct descent doesn't mean you get into the inner circle of the club. The only people who are allowed in the inner circle of the daughters are people who descend from one of the barons who had some special knightly decoration. The rest of them are just common fodder, even though they've traced their ancestry for 800 years. Now, my levity aside, there are extremely important hereditary societies in the United States. The Order of the Cincinnati is one of them. I'll probably be shot for even telling you about it. The Order of the Cincinnati is made up of those people who can trace their descent from a field grade officer in the American Revolution. And when it had its meetings after the Civil War, not only did every major Northern general show up, but every major Southern general showed up too. The new compulsion school institution was assigned the task of fixing the social order in place. But it borrowed the cautions that two Italian sociologists, Vilfredo Pareto and Giambattista Mosca, had laid down around 1900. Both these men, working independently, said the reason that every hierarchy comes to an end is the problem of transmitting to the next generation the reins of power. And what causes these breakups to happen is that in reality there really isn't any difference in talent or intelligence between the aristocracy and the common herd. And as you frustrate the natural leaders of the common herd, they band together, and over time, it may be centuries, they figure out where the weak spots of your edifice are, and all of a sudden they upset it. And both these men, working independently of one another, said that the way out of this trap is to put young children through every stage of their life under close scrutiny. And the minute you see signs that someone might potentially become a later adversary, you draw that kid into the reward system of the aristocracy. You flatter that kid, you wean that kid away from his own parents, and in that way, the secret of perpetual power would be available for the first time in human history. So the next time you see some kid from Harlem on the cover of Time magazine on his way to Exeter or Andover, you might just ask your local librarian to get you Mosca or Pareto. But the Daughters of the Barons of Runnymede represent well over 1,000 private hereditary societies that are really like a cousinage, an international cousinage that exists apart from almost any form of scrutiny the outgroup can bring to bear.